Just seeing how far down you have to go before we get to some metal. This old truck, not too far really. So I've had a few thoughts on this truck. It reminded us that life can be quick. We need to seek the wisdom for the day to live life to the full and rejoice in the Lord always. We've looked at how trauma can come into life and we can bear the scars of the trauma that our life brings us, and yet still live on and have some vibrancy. One of the thoughts I had a while ago, this truck, is thinking about the armor of God and how sometimes it feels to me like God's letting his armor go rusty a little bit as things go wrong in the world. And I was looking up a little bit about the armor of God in the Old Testament in particular, and one of the passages is Isaiah chapter 59 verses 14 through 18, and this is what it says. Listen to this. So justice is driven back and righteousness stands at a distance. Truth has stumbled in the streets. Honesty cannot enter. Things are bad. Truth is nowhere to be found, and whoever shuns evil becomes a prey. Bad shape when you stand against evil. The Lord looked and was displeased that there was no justice. He saw that there was no one. He was appalled that there was no one to intervene. So his own arm achieved salvation for him, and his own righteousness sustained him. He put on righteousness as his breastplate, and the helmet of salvation on his head. He put on the garments of vengeance and wrapped himself in zeal as a cloak. According to what they've done, so he will repay wrath to his enemies and retribution to his foes. He will repay the islands their due. So I was thinking about that and working it through. Because sometimes it does seem like God's maybe a little slow to put his armor on, like it's a little bit rusty. But as I thought about it, I realized that, some of it has to do with God's wanting us to intervene. It says that he was appalled, he was greatly distressed when there was no one to stand against injustice, when there's no one to stand up for the truth, when there's no one being willing to take the risk of becoming prey themselves as we stand for the weak and the disenfranchised and so on. And so sometimes God's just waiting for us to do the work we've been called to do. But then eventually God does put on his armor. He makes sure that things in the end are right. The rust is not as deep as it may first seem to be. It's just that God is patient. He waits for his people to stand for justice and to do his work in his strength. But eventually, he'll put on his own armor. He expects us to fight inequity, but he will do it in the end. And maybe if you're the person that's been waiting for the justice and it seems like God's arm is rusty, be sure of this: he will fight for you. So, today, what are the ways that we can fight injustice, that we can stand for the truth, that instead of God's heart being appalled at our inaction, he can be pleased because we fight for that which is right? Or maybe you need to appeal to God again, that he would put on his armor and fight for you if you are one of the downtrodden. God bless you today. Amen.